Yeah, hi, welcome everyone. So actually I was waiting for others to join. Now I can see that there is a good number. So let me start with my session. Once again, a warm welcome to our Azure sessions. So let me very quickly share my screen and then we are good to go. I'm sharing my screen. Just give me a moment. Okay, so yesterday we have completed on the day one. So we have completed 2 days on Microsoft Azure sessions. On the day one, we explored the basic cloud foundation services and we understand the different cloud models as well. On the day two, that means in the last lecture, we just started with the Microsoft Entra ID and we understood the various concepts, we understood the various features which are available in the Microsoft Entra ID. We have explored the concept of users, group, tenant. Then we also discussed something about some basics about the subscription. However, today I will be explaining more into the subscription, into the management groups, conditional access, self-service password reset. So we will be deep diving into all these concepts. Then coming to this, then I will be starting afterwards. I will not directly going with this compute service because before this compute service, I have to cover a lot of topics like management groups. I need to cover this Azure policies. I need to cover this resource group, resource tags, and giving you some of the basics about the resource logs. Everything I need to discuss. Then RBAC rules we will be discussing. Then only we will be proceeding to the compute service. So if time permits today, definitely I will be jumping into the compute services, but there is no hurry. We will go and will explore. Okay, then let's get started. So giving you a very quick revision of the last session, we have discussed all this Azure Active Directory and the features, and we have already discussed that. Okay, so on the Windows, actually, what happened on the on-prem, there will be a window server. Okay, and this will be known as domain controller. On the domain controller, this Windows server is also known as Active Directory, and so it will be keeping track, it will be holding all the details of my user identities, my groups, all the information, all the everything will be stored in this Windows server. So that is also known as domain controller and that will be used for my authentication and authorization. So what exactly? In the on-prem, whenever an organization will be doing its own setup, so obviously, first of all, there will be some domain. So I'm just giving some example xyz at the rate info.com, just giving some random example. So this is the domain. Now, at the rate of this, at this domain, so now whatever the user identities will be created, whatever the groups will be created, that will be providing an identity into this primary domain. Just like in the case of Microsoft Azure, we have seen that Microsoft is providing us the domain dot on Microsoft.com. However, you could customize, you could create your own custom domain. But Microsoft is not providing you that facility of the domain registrar. You have to register it from the different third party. Then afterwards, whatever the identities will be created for the devices, for the application, for the user, for the groups. So everything will be at this domain. So for example, I could create this like user1 at the rate info.com, user2 at the rate info com. So in the similar way, just like you will be proceeding for the other devices as well, for the other infrastructure, for the other user and group. Now, every time when the user will be sending a request, when user will be wants to log into the devices or the applications or to the servers, so then the authentication request will be coming to this. Authentication request will be coming to this domain controller, then the credentials will be verified, and afterwards he or she will be getting access to the servers or to the resources. So in the similar way, just like the concept of the active directory, in the active directory we are using the different protocols. So we are using the Kerberos, we are using the NTLM protocol. So this is on the local setup. This is on the local. It is working on only on the local or the on-prem. But when it comes to the Microsoft Azure, so we are using these protocols, SAML, OAuth, OpenID, for authentication and for authorization. Then we are using Federation because we need to connect to other software as a service products or the products, and then with the help of the single sign on, so we need to connect to these. So somewhere identity provider should be there, so some third party identity providers will be helping out, and federation protocol will be responsible for connecting us to these. Then we have already discussed what is identity, what is account, what is this Microsoft Entra ID account. So whenever you will be creating an account by default, a trusted instance, a dedicated instance of Azure Active Directory will be created, and that is known as tenant. So you could refer this tenant or directory, and this will be representing a single organization. For example, my organization is xyz.com, and when I am creating an account in cloud Microsoft Azure, so that will be representing my single organization, and one tenant, one default tenant will be created. Subscription is required to pay for this Azure cloud resources. Then we have understood all this. I will also be showing you some details into this. Then we also understood that there are different, apart from your subscription, you also need some licenses, because without licenses, it's not possible to give all these features. Because in the free tier account, you will be only getting these access. But in case you want to get access to the Microsoft 365 applications, your calendars, your OneDrive, your Teams, your Outlook account, then you have to go for this Microsoft 365 application. Licensing will be required. So if you want to upgrade, if you want some additional functionalities, so then you have to go for this premium P1. Then you will be getting this premium features, hybrid identity, conditional access, and you want this identity protection and identity governance in order to look at this risky sign in, user sign in, okay, and all these things you want, like privileged identity management, access reviews. So all that things you will be getting with the help of this premium P2 license only. So access reviews are nothing. The For example, if I say that already some uh, person who's already be a part of my team, now that team member, that employee, he has already left, or maybe he's serving the notice period. Now the administrator has already provided some access, some reader access, some contributor access to the resources. uh, Now he has already left the organization, but all these rights, access rights, are already existing there. So that would be a kind of the that will be also kind of the security issues as well. So in order to for example, as an administrator, you don't want to take up at a risk And what you want to do, you want to go for this access reviews. So maybe monthly, weekly, quarterly. So you could review all the access which is provided to the existing employees. Okay, and you could add the reviewer for that. You could add the reviewer for that. Maybe you are adding your team lead as a reviewer. You are adding your manager as a reviewer. So they will accept, they will review, they will accept, or they will reject. Okay, so these are some added functionalities which you will only be getting in the premium P2 licenses. This is not available. Self-service password reset, conditional access, all that things you will be getting with only P1, and these things you will be getting with the premium P2 licenses only. Then we discussed about the different devices. So if you are already associated with the organization, nowadays all the organization, they will be providing you, they will be already registering, joining your devices, they are providing their own kit to you, and that will be already registered with the Microsoft Entra ID. Okay, so but in case you want to register your own personal devices, then this is known as Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID registered devices. Then there could be the hybrid joint devices as well. So which works in both the scenarios in Microsoft Entra ID, as well as it will also work for the on-prem environment as well. Self-service password reset. So every time you can't go to the administrator. So it will be adding you some administrator overhead, and the cost will also be added. So you need some authentication that you could reset your password on your own. But this access will be provided you by the admin. So if the admin has not provided you the access to do the self-service password reset, then you can't do this. And this is also applicable in the premium P1, P2 licenses only. Then we have discussed that how to create this user identities in the bulk, and how to create this manually. Then we discussed that there are two types of the groups, security groups and the Microsoft 365 groups. One person has asked me, one of the participant, cloud groups was also there. So I have explored this cloud groups. Cloud groups is nothing. This is an interchangeable term for this Microsoft Office, this Office 365 groups. So it is the same. Either you could use this as a Microsoft 365 groups, or you could represent this as a cloud groups. So now it will be providing you the access to all the Microsoft 365, all the options, all the functionalities they will be providing access. And by default, an Outlook email will be created for you. So this will be an assignment types like assigned dynamic user. And this dynamic part, you have to write some query. On the basis of the query, you will be writing expressions. So for example, I could write the expression if I could write that if the job profile is IT or maybe something, so add it to the security group IT, add it to the system group IT. So whatever the groups you have created. So this is a kind of the dynamic, and assigned is the manual. Assigned is the manual task which you will be doing. So dynamic device in the similar way, when you are writing the query for the user in the similar way, you could write the dynamic query for the devices as well. Then you could assign the licenses. So we have already discussed that what this licenses exactly do. This is completely managed by your administrator. So I also want to share some of the official documentations which help you to understand some of the tutorials in the better way. So for example, if you are creating your account for the first time, so you could take that 30 days of the trial duration for this P1 and P2 licenses, and you could perform all these functionalities, you could perform this. So how this self-service password reset will work? you just need to go to this Microsoft Enter ID. So in this Microsoft Enter ID, let me now, inside this Microsoft Enter ID, you have to go to this under this identity, right? Under this, you have to go to this password reset. Now, once you go to this password reset, you have to click on this yes and no. So afterwards, it will be asking you for the authentication methods. So you could use either of any of the authentication methods. You could write your own security questions, your mobile phone, your email. You want some notifications on your email, your mobile as well. So you have to choose all these methods of the authentication. Any two methods you could choose. So after this, you could select either one or two. Okay. Uh, Now, depending on this, yeah, exactly. So these kind of the options you could also select. This is for the on-prem integration. And how to exactly enable this, you could also just go through this tutorial, but this is exactly what you could follow. So this is for the self-service password reset. And let me also show you for conditional access as well. So I'm sharing the links here as well. I will be sharing this notepad file. Once we are closing the session, I will be sharing all these links with you. Then coming to the conditional access, first let me explain what is this conditional access. Then I will be showing you with this documentation. Now coming to this dynamic query, how to write this dynamic query for assigning the groups, assigning the members to the group. So let me show you here. So exactly you have to go to this. Maybe this documentation, Microsoft documentations be a bit older. Some of the maybe options you are not able to see on the portal. Actually, this usually happens uh, because in the labs and in the learning parts, they will be keeping all the course updated. But in the documentation, sometime it took some time. So don't think that we are not able to see that option. If you explore, if you just go to this option, because maybe every time this is common with all the cloud providers, the look and the feel of the portal, because they used to update the features that will be very frequently. So simply you have to go to this dynamic membership rules, and here you have to click on this expression. So there are two operators and or. I hope that everyone knows that what is this and or. So and is when both the conditions are true, when all the conditions are true, then only the output will be true. And in the case of the or, so if any one of the condition will be true, the output will be true. Then you could expand this. So just click on this arrow and you could expand that. There will be different options. It has taken only the user principal name, but you could take that different options like job, profile, street, address, contact number, everything you could take, all the options will come. Then you could take this values is equals to, it contains, it not equal to, and then provide the value. So you have to provide this key and the value. Afterwards, once you set up this complex expressions, it's not a complex, it's a very simple expressions. So then in this way, you are creating the rule for this dynamic membership. Actually, it's only 1 or 2 minutes of task, but this feature is only available with P1 and P2. So I was very helpless to show you this features. This is new group. Okay, just you have to click on this new group, go to this dynamic membership rules, and you have to click on this add expression. In this add expression, you have to select and or operator. So you want to check for all the conditions, or you want to check for only one condition is true. So then you could provide the value. For example, I'm providing the domain name, the user principal name, if it is equal to this, then whatever the then syntax will be, query will be automatically written here in the backend. Whatever the expression you will be providing, that will be converted into the query. You don't need to write the query, you don't need to understand the syntax. So this is simply, it will be converted, and just click on this OK, select on save. Once you do this, it will be creating the group. It will be adding the members of to the existing group or to the new group based on your query. Okay, so you could add this. This is a simple thing which you could do. And this is for the testing. So you want to check, you have created this test 1, 2, 3 group, and you could see that the membership type is the dynamic. And later on, how you could check, so just access to this, or you could create a new user. Once you create a new user, just take that user principal name and see that whether it is by default it is added into the group. So in this way you could check this. Um, I have added the link as well. Yeah, now coming back to this, let me also show you. These are the documentations which you could refer on your own call. This is all about the authentication protocols. So it's providing you the complete protocols, whatever it's used in the cloud and it's used in the on-prem. So what are the legacy authentication protocols? And if you click on this, it's providing you the complete description here. It's providing you the complete. For example, you want to look at this SAML. What is this SAML? So it's providing you the complete scenario and it's providing you the complete architecture. How exactly it's happening in the backend. So what are the components of the system? How this token will be generated? How this will be used for the verification when the request is coming from the verified user. So it's providing you everything. OpenID, how this OpenID works in the backend in the authentication. So this is exactly you, it will be providing you all that information with all the steps mentioned. Okay, so you could refer to this. What is this LDAP authentication? So you could also refer to all of these. Let me also share this document with you. So actually, this is not a part of, this is a part of AZ 800, because in AZ 800, we are working with all these protocols we need to understand. Okay, so what is this Kerberos? What is this NTLM? We need to understand. This is about the cloud. So we are working with the Federation, SAML, we are working with OpenID, OAuth. Actually, this is not, if you want to deep dive into this, mostly it is covered in the Windows Server and all that. But you want to go through this, you could refer to this documentation. So this is also providing you the complete SAML, how exactly this SAML work, and mostly it is in the development part. So when it comes to the application development and all that, so then it will be covered there. So those who are in the development, all that protocols, so how exactly this is working and all that, it's very important to understand. Okay, so I have taken a note of all this URL. Later on, you could go through this. And I have also created this simple documentation for you. How exactly the SAML works. Okay, so this is a very brief introduction. Now, SAML is XML based this standard. So it's used for the authentication and for the authorization between the identity provider and between the service provider. So with the help of this, it is providing you the single sign on. With the help of your same username and credentials, you will be able to log in to the different applications. Then what is the relevance? What is the use case? You could just go through this. Then what is the role of this federation protocol? Now, this federation protocol will be defining for this federated identity management. So in this identity management, in the server, in the Windows Server domain controller, in the on-prem, we had this protocol. Okay, we have this service, Active Directory Federation service, but on the cloud, we have the WS Federation. So what exactly it will help me out? So actually, uh, it will help you to connect to the with the help of the existing IDs. So for example, you want to connect to my Azure cloud services with the help of your existing IDs. For example, it could be here with the different identities provider. So with the Gmail ID, with your Facebook IDs, with any of the social email IDs, with Microsoft IDs. So what it will do, it will take care of that identity. It will verify your identity. How it will be verifying? It will be sending the request to the identity provider of your whatever the whatever the where you have created your account. For example, you have created your account with the Gmail, so it will be sending the authentication request to the Gmail servers, right? And from there, if this verification is verified, if it is successful, then obviously they will be providing you, it will be redirecting again back to your application. So how exactly it will work? You just go through this. Then this is my OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is used for the authentication. Okay, so when it comes to authentication performed by the authorization server, so what it will be doing, it will be providing the authentication, who exactly the user is. So when this will be a verified, when the request will be coming from the verified user and it's authenticated, it's successfully authenticated, so it will return this JWT token. So this is my Java Web Access token will be provided. So then you could sign in with the Google, with the Facebook, with the other existing identities as well. Now this is my OAuth, open authorization. What this open authorization will do, this is helping you in the authorization. So actually when obviously the application will be having a limited access to the resources on any of the HTTP service. So without exposing the user credentials. So its purpose is authorization, not authentication. Because, for example, I want to give the permission to access to the resources. For example, I don't want to give permissions to anyone to access the photos on my Google Drive, the contacts on my Outlook. So then you have to provide this authorization with the help of, and this will be authorization setup will be done in the backend. OAuth will be responsible for these authorization. Now, coming to the Kerberos. So, Kerberos is used in the Windows in the Active Directory. So, this is my network authentication protocol. It is only working in the local network. It is only working in the local network. It's responsible for the authentication, but it is only for the local or for the on-prem network. Okay. Now, coming to this LDAP, right? So let me also write this LDAP. Now, LDAP is my lightweight directory access protocol. It also worked, it is working in the cloud as well. Okay, so now what it will do, this will be an open and this will be an application protocol. So you want to access and maintain your distributed directory information service. Then you could go for this. For example, you want to communicate with your directory servers with your Microsoft Active Directory. So then this LDAP protocol will be used. So mostly it is used, for example, just assume that one organization is already existing and there will be some legacy applications which are already running. So there will be some older applications and they are completely dependent on their on-prem setup. They will be completely dependent on their Active Directory setup. Now they don't want to move their Active Directory to the cloud. So in that cases, they could use that Azure Active Directory domain services. Now, Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Entra ID domain services, so that will be helping in this in order to provide this authentication and authorization. So actually, it will be in the sync with the on-prem because already this Azure Active Directory is already on the on-prem. So we have not moved our Active Directory onto the cloud. It's already existing. It's only existing on the on-prem. So now in that purpose, in all that scenarios, you could go with this LDAP protocol. So it will be responsible in the case of this migrations. It will be responsible in the case of this migrations, and we are using this Azure Active Directory domain services. It will be used when you don't want to migrate your Active Directory to the cloud. Okay, so you want your authentication mechanisms and you want that it will query the directory information only from your on-prem Active Directory. So mostly it will be used for the lift and the shift scenarios where you want to move your legacy application, but still some of the resources are already running. Authentication will be done from the basis of this your on-prem setup only. So this is my NTLM. NTLM is also used in your local networks, in your Active Directory, in your Windows environments. So this is an older authentication protocol. Okay, so it's working as an older authentication protocol and you could use in your legacy applications. Then what is this HTTP? So everyone is using this HTTP. HTTP is the protocol when you want to access your web applications, right? So you want to access your websites, your servers, your browsers. So then you have to go through this protocol. Hypertext transfer protocol is responsible. Now it will be in the back end, it will be enabling the communication between the clients and between the web servers. So from the when the client request is coming from the user browser or the client like browsers, it will be going that request to the web servers and responding from the web servers only. Then coming to the last one, HTTPS. So HTTPS is nothing. It is my secure version of the HTTP. Now, how secure? It will be using that SSL or TLS certificates to encrypt the communication. So now it will not directly, all the communication will not be going through in an original text. So it will be encrypted. This is for the security reasons. I don't want that there could be some hackers which in between, uh, if there is any data leakage or something like that, they could easily hack my sensitive application. So in order to avoid all that scenarios, I want to encode this all the data which is communicating between the client and the server. So that was the relevance. Okay. Later on, you could refer to this, and already I have provided all these documents. So in the yesterday session, we understood this part, right? We understood this part. Now, what is this? First of all, you are creating your Azure account. Once you create your Azure account for your organization, so there should be some subscription. There should be some subscription in order to pay for your resources, for your consumed resources. So whenever you are setting up your Azure account, your Microsoft Azure account, then automatically by default for this organization, my default tenant will be created. My default tenant will be created and you could create multiple tenants. You could create multiple tenants in your Azure account. So this is my B2B, this is my B2C, business to business, business to consumer. So we have already discussed all the use cases and the scenarios, right? Now, inside this default tenant or inside this default directory, then you will be using the different services, right? I'm using, for example, I'm using Microsoft Entra ID. I'm using Microsoft Entra ID. I'm using Azure Virtual Machine. I'm using any other services like Azure Storage Account. So you could provision any of the resources. You could provision any of the resources. Okay. Now, coming to this, we'll discuss more into the subscription part and all that. But yesterday, there were some of the functionalities that we have not discussed. So, one of this is the conditional access. One of this is the conditional access. So from the DevOps point of view, it is not important because this is only from the infrastructure administrator point of view. But still, you should know that what is this conditional access. From the DevOps point of view, it's nothing related to the DevOps. Okay, it's nothing related to the DevOps. This is for your additional information because we are understanding the concepts of Azure, and I don't want to skip any of the concept here. Okay. Now, what is this conditional access will do? So actually, this will be working on the base of the signals. So it will be taking the signals from various sources, from various sources, and afterwards it will enforce the organizational policies. So you could create your organizational policies like multi-factor authentication, that is by default. Nowadays multi-factor authentication is by default, but you could create your another policies as well. I will come to that point. What are these policies? Now, what is the purpose of this policies? You want to grant or you want to block, either you want to allow or you want to block the access to the resources, because by default I can't give access to the resources to anyone. So in the cloud there is a least privilege. So we should provide providing the complete access, the owner access or the contributor access to anyone. So there is a method of this least privilege and we have to follow. So whatever the least permissions are required, you only need to provide to your employees or to your user identities. So it's just like acting as a if then statement. It's acting like a if then statement. So if the user meets certain conditions, for example, what are the certain conditions? You want to check on the basis of location. So from which location, from which region the request is coming, from which device, is it a registered device, it is a joint device, it is a hybrid joint device, and if the device is not registered with your Microsoft Entra ID, if it is not joined, so don't allow the access, don't allow, reject that access, block that access. So if I give you some real-time examples, so you could define your certain conditions. So you could also define your conditions for risky users. So for example, there could be the probability that user identity has been compromised. User identity has been compromised. So in that case, you don't want to give access, you don't want to give access to that risky users. There could be risky sign in as well. There could be risky sign in as well. So if there is a risky sign in attempt, so if there is a risky sign in attempt, don't give the access, block the access. So how you would evaluate? So there are different rules which you could create in the identity protection for the user risk and for the sign-in risk, for the risky sign-in. So if the request is coming from the malicious IP address, in that cases, if the request is not coming from the registered browsers, then you could go with block the access. So you could also check if the operating system of the devices, if the request is coming from the Windows, from the iOS, from the Android, you could check all that. You could check the location. So what is the users, what is the network from, what is the location from which the users are trying to access the resources? Is it a trusted network? It is the trusted country. So you could also check this on the basis of the locations or on the basis of the regions. So you could also check, for example, I don't want to give access to some of the client applications to everyone. So you could also specify the applications being used to access the resources. So for example, your browser, your mobile applications, your desktop clients, you could restrict all that. You could restrict all that, but you have to write that policies. You have to write that policies in the conditional access. So device state, you could also check your device state. So if it is compliant, if it is in the compliant with your organizational policies, if it is domain joined, so you have to check if it is domain joined, if it is domain joined. So in this way, you could manage your access control. You could manage your access control. Okay. And it require the multi-factor authentication. By default, in this conditional access, multi-factor authentication you need to provide. Need to provide this. This is by default. Uh, this is all what you could do. So there are different use cases and scenarios. For example, you want that only this authorized users with the strong authentication, they could access your critical applications like your databases, your financial systems. So if the request is coming from outside of your corporate network, don't allow this request. You want to block the access from the any untrusted locations, any untrusted locations. So for example, if the request is coming from the from any malicious locations, you don't want to give access. So where there is a high risk of cyber attacks, you don't want to give access to that region as well. Okay, so all that things you could only do with the help of this conditional access. You want that all employee mobile devices will be enrolled. So all the employee mobile devices, it should be enrolled with Microsoft Intune, with Microsoft Intune. So in the Microsoft Intune, this is completely responsible for your device management uh, in accordance to this Microsoft Entra ID. So for example, you could also create this policies in the Microsoft Intune. You every time you require a pin, you require a pin. Okay, so that is the policy which you have created in order to access your company emails, in order to access your laptops. Okay, so all these scenarios are there. All these scenarios are there. Uh, you want to verify the password. You want that users will be required to change their password before this additional authentication. So you could also add this in your policies as well. So whatever the things you want to do, you could add in the conditional access and provide this allow or reject. Now, how exactly you could do this? If I go back to this conditional access, Let me provide this URL. Later on, you could give a try. So in the conditional access, if you see that in the Microsoft Enter ID, you could create that new policies in that Microsoft Enter ID under this conditional access. Now, under this conditional access, this is provided under the security. So you could create on this new policy. After this new policy, everything it's coming in like in this way. So you want to assign to some particular users, to group, to some security groups, to service principals. Now, what are the conditions you want to provide? What are the access levels you want to allow, you want to block? So whatever the things you want to provide. So it's providing here a complete tutorial. So you could directly go to this quick start. That will also give you, this is for the app center. Okay, so you could follow that conditional access. Actually, what happens now in the previous one, I think in last 2 3 months back, there was Microsoft is providing the all the simulation labs for whatever the features was in the P1 and P2 license. They are providing all that in the simulation labs, interactive simulation labs. But now they have deleted all that. Now they have removed from their GitHub repo. So that is the reason you were not is supposed to do. Only you have to follow this Microsoft official documentation. And let me also try it if here exactly they will be providing me. Because if you go to this official self-paced course learning, there will be a self-service password reset. There is an exercise. So let me see if they are providing me some subscription. Mm, okay, they are not providing that subscription. They have removed everything. Before just 2 3 months back, everything was there. Even in these exercises, they are providing you the temporary subscription and you could follow this labs. Okay, so first of all, you have to create a group like simple security group with the manual approach. Once you create the group, then you could create the user account. This is the simple thing which you could do. Anyone can do. After this, once you create this, you want to enable this self-service password reset for the users. So you have to go to the manage section. You have to go to the manage section for your users or for the group. Then select the password reset. Then select this self-service password reset. And by default, it is none or it is selected. So you have to click on this selected. Then afterwards, you could customize. You select this authentication methods, how you want to register, how you want to notify for your users. All that customization, you could explore all these options. And afterwards, you have to save. Then you could also check in this browser window. So you could check in this browser window. Let me just try it. Okay, so first of all, we need to follow the above steps. Then only it will allow me. So you could try with this. This is a very simple thing. Later on, you could give a try with this self-service password reset because we have to cover a lot of services. So all these are not very, very important. This is only from the administrator point of view. From the DevOps, you just only have some basic understanding why this feature is used. So what is this purpose? Now, if I go back to my Microsoft Azure portal and let me go back to this Microsoft Entra ID. So now you could see that I was not able to, if I go to my password reset, I can't do this. Okay, so this is my self-service password reset. But now what it is asking me, get a premium trial to use this feature. Even if I'm trying this, it will redirect me to create a new tenant. Okay. So it will, because it's already activated. It's already activated for me. So it's asking me to create a new account. Okay, other features we will discuss later on. And let me also show you the conditional access. Even I was not able to go on this part, but let me show you. So I can't access this identity governance as well. So I can't do this because it also requires the subscription. It also require that premium license, and that was not with me. And title management, access reviews, life cycle workflows, all that things we could only do with the help of this. You want this advanced group management access resources. This could only be available, and this actually this comes under this security courses as well. So I can't create all this. Okay, I can't create all this. This is about the logs. We'll see the logs when we will be doing our monitoring and logging part. We'll come back to this later on in the upcoming sections. We will discuss and we'll come back to this. App registrations we will be discussing later on. Okay, right now we will not be discussing because this is a part of application management. And right now you will not be able to understand this. Then it comes to identity governance. Already I told you that we are not able to do this. Devices, it will be providing you the complete list of the devices which are compliant, which are non-compliant, the complete dashboard. And if you want to see, so there is no devices which already I have registered with me. You could register the devices with the help of this devices. Yeah, so there is one more option, Microsoft Entra Connect. Now, what is this Microsoft Entra Connect? So, for example, you want to sync your on-prem user identities. You want to sync up with your Microsoft, your on-prem identities with your cloud. So, you have to enable this Microsoft Entra Connect. And this will be a complete cloud sync. You need to connect this. Then only you will be able to see all the user identities which are present in your on-prem infrastructure. So that are the things which you could do with your default directory. Now, let me come back and show you the tenants as well. So if you could see that, there is an option of manage tenants. In the manage tenants, so these are the tenants which I have created. Okay, this is my default directory. You could see that this is my default directory. And nowadays, Microsoft has made so many changes. Earlier, with this MSDN subscription, I was able to create this B2B tenant. But nowadays, with this subscription, I was not able to create B2B. Okay. So they are asking me that you should be having paid license to create Microsoft Entra workforce tenant. And I could only go for this B2C. I could only go for this B2C. So earlier this option was not grayed out for me. Earlier this option was not grayed out for me. Even this B2C is even not available for the new sales. So if you are the existing customer, maybe that will work. I think after this May onwards, I was not able to create this B2C as well. So let me also show you how to create this B2C. So in the B2C, simply you could go for this organization name. You could provide any name to the organization, for example, but it should be unique. It should be unique. So if I'm taking this paper life, it will not allow me because this would be already registered somewhere. Okay. So I could take this, let me take this same name. Okay. Now you could see that it is providing me on Microsoft. So it's providing me this domain is already registered because it's already registered, right? So we can't take this. Let me add some random numbers after this. Okay, now it is allowing. You could select your country or your region. So for example, I want to go with the South India. Okay. Subscription, it will be creating a new resource group. You could create a new resource group. I will explain what is this resource group. Let me take this tenant RG. Tenant RG. Now, afterwards, this validation has been passed, so you could create your tenant. Okay, no problem. It will take some time. We will come back to this. Let me start with the concept of the subscriptions because today we have to complete all this. Okay. So we understood that what is the subscription? Okay. Subscription is nothing. Subscription is just providing me. Subscription is providing me the billing boundary, right? So how to pay for your bills, how to pay for your billing amount. So you could pay with the help of your subscriptions only. Now there are multiple type of the subscription and in your Azure account you could have your multiple subscriptions. For example, in my Azure account, let me also change my pen here. So, for example, in my Azure account, so I could go with the dev subscription. I could go with the dev subscription, that means development, test subscription, test subscription, production subscription. So there could be multiple subscriptions in my environment. Now, how you could take that subscriptions? It would be taken on the basis of your departments. It could be on the basis of your business units. For example, you could be having different business units. You will be having your different departments like sales, your IT, your HR, your admin. So for all this, you are providing that individual subscriptions. Okay, so that it will be easy for to just understand that which business unit, which department has provisioned whatever the resources they have provisioned. It's easily to identify. Okay, and you will be able easy to manage. So this is easy to manage if you are going for the individual subscription on the basis of the regions, on the basis of the business unit. So for the basis of the environments as well, for the basis of the environments, and then you could set up the different quotas as well. For example, we already know in the dev subscription, we don't need so much of resources. So you could provide that $100, right? In the test subscription, we also need and we don't need too much of the resources, so $100 will be okay. So we will be requiring some VM, we will be requiring some databases, we will be requiring some virtual networks, but in the prod environment that will not work. We require 100 of servers because the growth will be exponentially, it's going on. Okay, so in that case it is a complex environment. So then we have to provision multiple resources. For example, I'm providing here maybe $200 or 300 or $500. Now, in this way, it will be easy to manage. It will be easy to manage. So let me also write it here. So what is the subscription? Subscription is used for the management, for the billing, and for the scalability as well. Okay, so for the scalability as well. Now, it's actually a way to logically organize your resources. So it is a better way to organize your resources and your resource groups as well. So I will come to this. What is this resource group? I will discuss. And after that, you could also facilitate the billing part. You could also facilitate the billing part. Now, the subscription will be providing you the authenticator and the authorized access to all the Azure products and to the services. So, initially, there will be some quota. So, Microsoft will not provide you the complete access. There will be some resource limitations. There will be some resource limitations. You could add multiple resources, and in case you want to add that quota, for example, in the Azure, they will be providing me that you could go only this 50 virtual machines deployment. And in case you want to increase that CPU cores in that one virtual machine, you want to increase that CPU cores. So you have to raise a support ticket. You have to raise a support ticket to increase that quota, to increase that quota. So Microsoft, you have to provide this proper justification, and after a couple of days, you will be getting that complete notification whether the request has been approved or it has been rejected. So account could have multiple subscriptions, right? Account can have multiple subscriptions. Account can have multiple subscriptions, but minimum it should be one. Minimum it should be one, because without subscription you can't provision your resources. You can't provision your resources. So it could be applied on the basis of the environments, on the basis of the regions, on the basis of the services, on the basis of the product, on the basis of this. We have already discussed so many scenarios. Okay. So it's nothing, its functionality is it will be a billing boundary. It is providing you the billing boundary. So it will be generating the complete invoices, and you will be able to organize all the invoices, and based on the invoices for each departments, for each environments, for each business units, you could pay your bill, and they will be providing you the complete billing reports. They will be providing you the complete billing reports as well, so that you could organize and manage your cost. You could organize and manage your cost. Then it is also giving you some access control, right? It is also helping you in the access control. So you could apply some policies at the subscription level as well. You could apply the policies at the subscription level. So for example, I want to give access to only the testing team for this subscription only, for this test subscription. For this test subscription, prod team members can't have access. For this dev, prod can't access. So we could also provide that control access policies as well. Okay. Now, it could also be environment specific. We have discussed you could isolate for the different compliance reasons. You could isolate for the different compliance reasons, and it will be providing you the better organizational structure. It will be providing you the better organizational structure and the billing as well. So, for example, you want to limit one team to the low cost resources like dev team. So, you could apply the policies at the dev subscription only. And it's providing you that complete billing and all that, the complete access control you will be getting. Now, let me come back to the next concept, that is my resource group. Okay, so you should also know this. What is this my resource group? So let me change my pen and write it here. So that is the next concept in our Azure resource group. So every time, whenever you will be creating your subscriptions, right? So subscription obviously you will be required, but inside this you have to create a resource group. Now resource group is nothing, it will be acting as a container, it will be acting as a container that is holding my related resources, that is holding my related resources for my Azure solution, for my Azure solution. Now just try to understand, now just try to understand. There is one project. Okay. So you are a member of one project. Okay. So there could be some team members, 4 to 5 team members, or maybe more than this. That is a different concept, that you are providing authentication and authorization. That is a different thing. Now I'm just coming that inside this project, you will be requiring the access to the resources. So you will be requiring some virtual machines. You will be requiring some SQL servers. You will be requiring your VNets, your virtual networks, and subnets. You will be requiring. Obviously, that will be inside your VNets as well. Then maybe you will also be requiring some storage accounts, some Cosmos DB accounts, some other services you will be requiring. Now, is it feasible? Is it genuine that you are provisioning all these resources in different resource groups? No, because I want to give access. I want to give access to all of these resources to all of my team members. Okay, so this should be at a project level. Okay, I want to give some permissions at the resource group level. I want to control the access level, or this is the best thing, it will also share the life cycle, it will also share the life cycle of the resources. Because one thing you should always it should be in your mind when you are creating the resource group. So if you are deleting your resource group, or maybe accidentally this resource group has been deleted, if this resource group has been deleted even accidentally by admin, there is no way to recover the resource group. There is no way to recover the resource group. Even if you have taken the backups and all that, you can't recover. So backups could only be work for this virtual machine, for the SQL server, but for resource groups, no other way to recover all this content. So once you have deleted, this is gone. Now you want to give the permissions at the resource level, at the project level. So you could give this permissions at the resource group level. So this is the reason why we are going with the resource group. So you could put all the associate resources in under one resource group. Okay. So whatever you want to manage, it will help you for the easy management. For the easy management, that will help you. Okay, so you could put your instances, your resources, your application gateway, your load balancers, whatever you want, you could put into the resource groups. And you could move your resources to any other resource group, to any other resource group, or to any other subscriptions, to any other subscriptions, or to any other tenant at any time. At any time you want to move the resources from one of the resource group, you could do this. You could do this. And one more thing, one resource will only be a part of one resource group. One resource can only be can only be a part of one resource group. can only be a part of one resource group. So I just mean to say that if you have created your SQL server with the name, maybe you have created this paper live SQL server, right? So this will only be a part of one single resource group. You can't take in the two different resource groups. No, it will be a part of only one single resource group. And there could not be nested, there will not be any nested resource groups. By mean of this nested resource group, I just mean to say that inside the one resource group, you are creating another resource group. This is not possible. No nested resource group is there. And you could create as many resources, as many you want to take inside one resource group. This is up to you. You could create as many resources, but once you delete that resources, once you delete that resources, it will be once you delete that resource group, it is not recoverable. And one more important thing, the resource group you could take in any of the region, you could take in any of the region. For example, I have provisioned this resource group 1 in my region East US. In my region East US. Now, inside this, I have taken one virtual machine. I have taken one VNet. I have taken one storage account. So these resources, all these are the resources. Now, these resources you could provision in any of the region. For example, I want to provision in this West US. I want to provision in this South India. I want to provision in this Canada Central. So this is possible. This is possible. Now you might be wondering that if it is possible, then what this region is exactly storing. So this region will be storing all my metadata regarding my resources and my resource group. So all the information, all the metadata of my resources and resource group will be there in this region. Now again, one more question, one more tricky interview question. If the resource group, this region is not is this region is not maybe this region is down due to any of the reasons, so we are not able to access this resource group, right? Because this resource group is in the East US region, but the resources are in the different regions, right? The resources are in the different regions, so it is not it will not be actually it will not impact my resources in the other regions. I will able to access my VM. I will able to access my VNet, my storage account. The only difference will be there. Metadata will not be updated. Metadata will not be updated. So if my East US region, if my East US region goes down. So then also I will be able to access, I will be able to access my, I will be able to access my resources inside the resource group, inside the resource group. But metadata will not be updated. Metadata will not be updated. And you can't change the resource group name after the provision. So once you have provision your resource group, you can't change the name. You can't change the name of your RG. Once you have provision, once you have provision. Okay, so then you could apply the permissions, you could apply the RBAC rules. We'll discuss this RBAC rules. Now, I don't want to confuse you at this point of the time. I don't want to confuse you. Okay, one more thing, let me also discuss the management groups. Okay, so I hope we are clear till point. Are we clear till point? Any questions? All good. Shall we proceed?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, hi Tanvi. Mohsin
Yeah,
here.
yeah, please go.
Yeah. So depend upon these resources. The subscription is also difference for that regions.
Depending on the resource group. No, no. Subscription will be on the basis of your accounts. It will not be on the basis of this regions. So let me also show you. Uh, okay, so let me show you here. This is my subscription. If I go to this my MSDN subscription, let me show you how to add the subscription as well. So there is also one more option, cost management. In the cost management, you will be getting the proper cost analysis. You could also create some alerts. So for example, if someone has is went beyond some threshold amount, you want to create some alerts, you want to create some budgets and some advisory recommendations in order to minimize your cost, you could do this. In the billing, it's also creating the invoice and it's providing me the payment methods as well. Now, at any point of time, you could create your resources, you could create your subscriptions. It will also provide you whether which kind of the subscription you are eligible for. So this is also something like usage and the quota. So if I go to the usage and the quota, some minimum, some limitations are already there on my subscription. If you want to go and increase this quota, so you have to raise a ticket. You could raise the new quota ticket, and these are all the restrictions. These are all the quota names. Now let me show you how to create that subscription. So earlier there was a option of a new subscription here only. I think they have changed so many things in the portal. Under the security, obviously it will not be there. Under the billing, let me see under this. I will come to this resource lock and all that. I think they have also removed that feature. Earlier, I was able to create so many subscriptions, but now I can't see that option. Service administrator functionality is no longer supported. No, I think they have make so many changes here. But you could create so many subscription actually in the left hand side in the left navigation pane. There is an option of creating subscription, and before that you could also go for this eligibility. It will check your eligibility and then only you could create your subscriptions as well. So let me go to this preview features. No, it's not usage and quota. It's already I have seen. Let me see that. I think they have changed some permissions. Its owner is already there. User access administrator is I'm already there for this. No, for my subscription, I think this is the same for all MCT trainers. But yes, uh, your question was exactly under this resource group. So actually, when you are creating your subscriptions, these are not at the resource group levels. These will be at the account level. Okay, so it's not on the basis of this regions, right? Okay, now let me very quickly explain this management groups, and then I need to show the demonstrations as well. Meanwhile, let me show you the subscription tutorial. Let's learn. Okay, so subscription can contain the resources from the different regions. You could create on the basis of the requirement, on the basis of the architecture quota we have already discussed. You will be having some constraints based on your subscription and how exactly you have to create this subscription. So let me go through this. There will be some tutorial as well. Okay, maybe later on I will just look into this tutorial how to create this because on my subscription earlier it was there, the option, but now I think they have updated the portal. Now let me come to this management groups. So what I do, I will go to this slide deck. Okay. So we have discussed, right? We have discussed this Azure account. Under this, you could go with any subscription and you could create your resources as well. Now, after this, yeah, this is the subscription usage actually. There are different type of the subscriptions as well. So I have already shown you that you could create your free tier account and they will be providing you $200 for the first 30 days and the free limited access for the 12 months as well. After this pay as you go, they will be charging you. So for this pay as you go, they will be charging you for a monthly basis. Invoices will be generated and you have to pay. Now, this is my CSP. So this is my, actually, it is for the Microsoft Cloud Solutions. This is mostly for its agreement with the possible discounts through the Microsoft Cloud Solutions provider partner. So mostly it will be used from the small to medium business. So they will be providing, partners will be providing their solutions. Okay. Now you could also go with the enterprise versions. Now in this enterprise versions, what it will be do in this subscription, enterprise customers, they can make a bulk purchase of the subscriptions, but in this case, you will be going with some upfront monetary commitment. You will be going with the upfront monetary commitment. So there will be some upfront cost. That means in advance you have to pay. And this will be completely according to the SLA. So you could consume your services throughout the year. And this will be done at the enterprise level. Then you could also create your student account. This will be $100 for a month, but you should have your university IDs which will be already registered with Microsoft. So your domain should be registered with the Microsoft. Then only you could go for this. And this will be only done with the domain of your university's ID. Then you could also go for this personal Microsoft account as well. And then there are partners we have already discussed. Okay. So what partners will do, they can design and implement the cloud solutions for our big companies, for big giant companies. So in this way, these are the different subscription types you could go with this. Now, coming back to the subscription we have discussed, okay, so there is an enterprise agreement, there is resellers. So, resellers, what they do, they will be providing you the simple, flexible way to purchase cloud services. So, that means from the you could say that from it's mostly works for the medium to the large business. So what they will be doing, they will be purchasing the solutions from the solutions for the Azure cloud services from the big companies, from the medium companies. Then the partners can design your solutions. They could you could use their managed services. They can host their your resources in their own tenant and you will be using that managed solutions. Then you could also go for this personal free tier account as well. Then coming to the resource group we have discussed. Okay, so we have discussed all that. You could resources can only be created in one resource group. It could have resources from the multiple regions. You can't rename, you can't do the nesting one, and logs. So for example, you want to prevent the accidental deletion of your resource groups. In that cases, you could go with the resource log, and you could move the resources between the resource group at any point of the time. Now, in this particular diagram, they have shown you there is one web server, there is one DB server, there is one virtual machine storage group. It could be any of the combinations. Now, you could see that in this one resource group, all these resources are there, or you could also create the resources in the different resource group. This is completely up to you. So, it's not a hard and fast, it's not a kind of restriction that you have to put all the resources in one single resource group. It's completely based on your use case, on your requirements, on your project. Now, there are some resource limits as well. Okay, so this is based on your quota. You could raise the tickets in order to increase the limits. Now, this is the management groups. This is the management group concept, and it's very, very important. Just try to understand this management group. So, whenever your Azure free tier account will be, or any of the type of the account will be created, first of all, the root management group will be created. This is the part one. It's by default, it's root management group for all my account, for my account. Now, inside this management group, but what is the need of this management group? First, you understand the need of the management group, and then I will come to this remaining of this architecture. Okay. Now, just assume that because I have told you, we will not be going with one single subscription. Even in small scale organizations or even in the startup, they have multiple subscriptions. Now, how effectively you could manage your subscriptions? You want to manage your all the subscriptions effectively. So, in order to manage all the subscriptions and in order to manage the governance policies, you could go with the concept of the management groups. Now, in this root management groups, you could create any number of the management groups, but based on your subscription, uh, up to there is a limitation. You could go with only up to 10,000 of the management groups. You can't go beyond this number. Inside this root management groups, for example, on the basis of my business units or on the basis of my departments, I have created the different management groups, okay, like human resources, IT, marketing. Inside this, I have created, you could also create your subscription inside this root management group as well. So I have created this enterprise subscription. Now, under this human resources, maybe there are different environments. So there is dev and test environment, there will be app environment. Again, you have created app management group. This is my symbol of management group. And this is the symbol of, this is the logo of my subscription. Maybe under this IT, there is a prod. Again, you have created one more management group. On the basis of the regions as well, you could create the management groups. So someone has asked me the questions. This is the better way. Instead to go with the subscriptions, you want to divide on the basis of the locations, on the basis of the regions. First of all, you should create the management groups. So I have not answered at this time, at that time, because I just want to explain first the concept of management groups, and then I want to answer your question. So that was the management groups. You could also take on the basis of the different locations. For example, there are two branches. There are two branches which are existing. Okay. So it is in the maybe in the East US region, it is in the West US region. So based on the different geographical location, you could also create the different management groups as well. Now, inside this management groups, you could create your subscriptions. It's not mandatory that you have to go with this enterprise subscription only. You could go with any of the subscription, with free trial subscription, with your resellers, with whatever the subscription which your organization is providing. So in this way, you could control your complete hierarchy of your complete architecture of your of your management groups and your subscriptions of your complete Azure account. So that is the way actually which you will be managing. Now, what you will be doing with the help of this management groups, you are creating the hierarchy of the groups and the subscriptions. Now, you could apply the policies. For example, I want to apply some specific policies to the human resources only. I don't want to apply some policies to the IT, to the marketing. So you could apply at this human resources, and there is a hereditary. So there is an inheritance. Now, what is this inheritance? Inheritance is whatever you are applying to the parent node, automatically it will also be applying to the child nodes. So whatever is in the parent node, the policies and the access control, that will be automatically inherited, that will be automatically coming into the child nodes. So it will be all the policies will be automatically coming to the apps, to the subscription, to this part only. Okay, so if you want to control only at this geo region one, so you could apply your policies here. And inheritance always go from top to bottom. It never goes from bottom to up, right? So if you want to apply some policies on the geo region one, so you could apply here. Automatically, it will also coming, it will be reflecting to your subscriptions as well. And there will be only 6 levels of depth. So you could only go for by 6 levels of the depth. So this is my level one. Okay, this is my level two. This is my level three. This is my level four. Beyond the six, you can't go for this management groups. So hierarchy will only be at this 6 levels only. Okay, so this is the most efficient way to manage the complete your Azure account for in the terms of your management group, in terms of your subscription. Now, again, I am telling you, this is the hierarchy. First of all, let me go back to this. So under this management group, first of all, what is there? There is a root management group. There is a root management group. Inside this root management group, one level down, you will be having different management groups. You could have multiple management groups. This is up to you. In one subscription, it is supporting 10,000. So you could go with multiple for example, this is my HR, right? This is my prod. This is my marketing. All these are my management group. Inside this management group, you could create your subscriptions. You could create your subscriptions. And one management group could create n number of the subscriptions. N number of the subscriptions. Under this subscriptions, now you will be provisioning your resources. But how you will be provisioning your resources? First of all, you have to provision your resource groups. You have to provision your resource groups. Under this resource groups, then only the resources will be provisioned. Under this resource group, you could provision your resources. For example, my virtual machines, my storage account, so my SQL servers, my DB servers. Now, all these resources will be provisioned. So this is exactly the hierarchy. This is exactly the hierarchy. And why we are doing this? In order to efficiently manage my multiple subscriptions in my Azure account. Okay. So that is the way to create that management group. And this is the way to manage. Now let me also discuss this resource tagging. Resource tagging is also important concept. It's all actually it's only used for the billing taxonomy. It's very helpful in the billing taxonomy. For example, you could create any type of the key value pairs. So this type of the key value pairs you could create, like owner Joe, department marketing, environment production. So cost center marketing, any key value pairs. So this is my key and this is my value. So where it will be helpful at the time of the billing when you are when you are paying the bills for your all the invoices of your subscriptions. So by logically you could organize your resources, so you could organize that yeah. So looking at the tags you could easily understood that this resource is being provisioned by the marketing department. Okay, this is the owner. And it's also helpful at the time of the query as well. So, for example, you want to run some query and you want to fetch or you want to retrieve some data. So, you could do on the basis of this key value pairs, but mostly this is used in the billing taxonomy. So, it is used to logically organize your resources. Okay. This is very important for the managing cost. So you want to manage the cost on the Azure portal. You will be able to see that there is a one function, manage cost. Okay, inside the subscriptions. So you could look at the different cost, and you could also set up your thresholds that beyond this budget, no one could provision the resources. No one should go beyond this limit. You could also create some notification alerts as well. If you want to look for some recommendations from Microsoft, that we could go with the spot instances, or we could go with some other recommendations like at this scenario you could go with some low level hardware architecture or infrastructure. So all these recommendations will be provided by Microsoft. Then you could also make use of this on-prem license. For example, if you are using Windows Server, we all know that Windows Server is not freely accessible. Okay, so you have to purchase a license when you are working, when you are deploying your applications on your web servers. So you have to purchase this license. For example, on your on-prem setup, the organizations are already having the Windows license with them, or they are having the SQL Server license. Now they want to some reduce the cost on the cloud. So they want to consume the already existing license of their Windows server, of their SQL server. So they could go with this Azure hybrid benefits. Okay. Then you could optimize with the alerts, with the budgets, with some recommendations. And obviously, there will be the cost for the inbound and the outbound data transfers as well. The data which is incoming to the cloud, it's completely free. But the data when it is outbound, when it goes outside of the cloud, obviously there will be some cost associated. Incoming data is free, but outgoing data is not free. You have to pay for this. So you could look at this at the manage cost option. I will come to this Azure policy in some time. First, let me explain the subscription part and the management group. I just want to show you the demonstration. Very quickly, what I will be doing, I will be first going with the resource group. Let me create a resource group here. This is the first step. This is the step number one. And you have also seen that this tenant RG group has been created, because when we are created the new tenant with the paper live 1, 2, 3 something. Okay, so it has created in that resource group. Resource group is required. Now, how to create this resource group? First of all, you have to populate all these options here. This is the subscription. If you have multiple subscriptions, you have to select your subscription, which is having some cost associated. Okay. So if you don't have any credits left, then you can't provision the resources. So for example, if you could see here, yeah, these are the credits which are remaining. So it doesn't allow me to create tenants. It doesn't allow me to create this tenants. Okay, resource group name, you could provide any name to the resource group. For example, I'm going with this paper life arch. Then region selection, that is completely dependent on you. Region selection will be completely dependent on the basis of multiple factors. So it is not dependent on only one factor. For example, the one important thing you need to understand, whatever the region you are selecting, the region will be mostly, for example, you want to provision your web servers and you will be deploying your application. So region selection should be like that. It should be in the close proximity to the end users. Now, what is this close proximity? There should be low latency. So whenever the request, for example, I want to give access to the applications, the end users will be from the South India region. Okay, so always provision. So try to provision in the resource group in the region South India. Okay, so there should be low latency. And one more thing is there is a different cost associated with the different region. Cost varies from region to region, price varies from region to region. Some of the services you will be finding costly in one of the region, while in some other region it will be costing you little low. And the another thing is maybe some of the services are available in one of the region and the same service will not be available in other region. That could also be the scenario. So you have to very carefully, you have to analyze on the basis of like on the basis of your problem definition, on the basis of your case study, you have to define on which factors you have to specify your region because there are multiple factors. So now what I want to go with there are different regions. Let me go with the South India region. I will also discuss that what is the geographical infrastructure, physical infrastructure of Microsoft Azure. So all these are the recommended one. Let me go with the Central India and the next tags. So you could provide the tags at any point of the time. For example, I am providing the owner, paper life. I am providing this department IT. Now, whatever the tags you want to provide, review and create your resource. Now, this resource group has been created. Inside this resource group, right now, no resources are there, nothing, no resources are there. But because I have not provisioned any resources, no services I have provisioned, okay? So I will come to this. I will come to this after some time. In this resource group, there is one more feature, resource log. So in the overview, if you expand this essentials, you could see the tags as well. So at any point of the tags, you could edit the tag.